welcome to another episode of Let's Look at It Again. In this episode, we welcome back special guest Zahir Oladuni Mobalaji Toure. And we're going to talk about a few things, namely his current writing, his community-based organization and the work that they're doing. And then we'll get into a little bit of my own personal work titled The African Family Imperative. Brother Zahir, welcome back.
Oh man, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me again.
Awesome. I hope everything's going well with you and your family. I want to jump right into it and let's talk a little bit about the initiative that you guys are working on with community movement builders.
So we're shooting off this initiative. We've been really promoting it since January, and the program is called Protect Your Community. And what it is Community Movement Builders, the organization based in Atlanta, is hiring men and women who are interested in becoming state licensed security guards. And really what the program is about is it started off as a part of a cop watch program, and so basically we had worked with the family of Rayshard Brooks in the community, and a lot of people were looking for alternatives to call the police. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to set up our own community protection force. People who are trained in first aid, people who are trained in de-escalation tactics, people who are trained in weapon safety and martial arts, disaster relief, restorative justice. I mean, we're hitting it all kind of angles because we're looking at ways on how we can protect our own communities instead of having to call the police who are only going to come in and oppress us. And we're actually paying people to do this training. And it's about, I want to say about 4 to 6 months. And even in this program, what we include is community walks or community patrols where we go out, we talk to the people, and we hand out literature for the program. So it's very community oriented. And at the end of the program, we hope to get people licensed as unarmed security guards, and we could get them employed with our cooperative that we have called the Community Movement Builder Security Services Cooperative.
Excellent. It's a really great initiative, especially centered around the topic of not calling law enforcement when we have situations that arise in our community. It's something that my wife and I talk about all the time. And I said this in the past on social media, that really should think twice about calling law enforcement, and especially with all of the cases that we see. I can't remember the brother's name out there in the Midwest. Was recently assaulted by the police. We might as well say they tried to kill him. He's permanently disabled now. And then you have other cases all over the country constantly where a simple domestic violence situation results in a police murder or a police assault that could have been prevented.
Indeed. And I mean, we see it all the time in our communities. We'll see something like you said, a domestic violence. We'll see something where we may know the person in the community, but he may have a problem with mental illness. But instead, they're not going to give us any of the resources to handle these issues ourselves. And so some people who are new to the community, like what's happening in Pittsburgh, right? You'll have these new people come in and they're gentrifiers. Mostly white, but there are also black gentrifiers who will come in and they want to push these people out, and they don't know the community, right? And so they'll call the cops on them, and then the cops will come in, and the cops don't know them, right? And they'll just come in and, like you said, state sanctioned murder every time. And then it also increases in police harassment of local citizens, and they're not meeting. None of the conversation is around meeting the needs of the people. And so that's why we come in and we said we want to meet the needs. And one of those means is security, but we want to offer an alternative, because when you call those police, you could be a victim too, right? They can come in and harass you. They could kill you and your loved ones. So
you mentioned Rayshard Brooks was murdered after police had interrogated him about him sleeping in his car at a drive-through. Was it like a McDonald's or a Burger King drive-thru in Atlanta? Is his family aware of this initiative? Do you know?
Yes, and he got shot at a Wendy's, because we know, because we were trying to turn it into a cultural center, but they end up the city ended up taking it down, demolishing it. But they have been aware, and we had some people with them that were interested, and we're still working on trying to get them involved, and we want more people before we start pushing it. So, but yes, they were well aware, and actually it was that event that triggered this program, because we were like, man, people in the community knew this person, right? So if we have people they could call that knew him and say, yeah, we know Rayshard, we could drive him to his house. You know, he lives right down the street. We could have prevented that type of incident from happening.
Absolutely. And the organization Community Movement Builders, can you tell us if this initiative is just for Atlanta or for any other cities in the U.S.?
Right now, it's specifically for Atlanta because that's our home base. If we get enough interest in other cities, our chapters are in Dallas, our chapters are in Detroit, we have a chapter in Memphis, and we have a chapter in San Diego, and we should have two more coming up, and one in Louisiana, New Orleans, and the other one right outside of Oakland. So if there are people who are interested in live in those particular cities, they can start to let those coordinators know that we could set up programs in those cities. But right now, we have the resources specifically for Atlanta.
Awesome. What are some of the partnerships that you've been able to successfully make center around this particular initiative so far? Have you been able to make any partnerships with any other organizations or city government officials?
We have gotten to know different grassroots organizations that have donated to the program. So we've actually worked with some anarchists who have donated to the program, and we've worked with other nonprofit groups that were interested in building this up. So we've been able to form relationships around the idea, and sometimes people are just waiting for the opportunity, and then they'll at least donate, or at least they want to help. And so that's definitely the good thing. But we've definitely have formed some relationships around just various grassroots organizations in the local Atlanta area. We've gotten some donations from a couple of entertainers, some rappers. So that was also a plus.
What are some of the challenges that you face with this initiative getting off the ground and building the traction that it needs so far?
One of the biggest challenges we face is just simply getting the people interested, and we've been out there in the communities handing out flyers. We've definitely promoted through social media, and we've definitely been in barbershops. We've been in local stores. We've been all around promoting this idea. We've been all around Atlanta. And I think part of the problem is maybe people don't understand the greater plan that's involved with it and protecting their own communities. And so I think a part of this has to come with sort of teaching other people like, hey, this is our program, this is for y'all, right? It's not even just about the police, but it's really just about bringing a community feel back, or bringing us back to this understanding that we are our own liberators, right? And Ujima, collective working responsibility. No one else is going to do this but us. So if you have a problem in the community, you're going to have to fix it, And so I think that's the idea that we have to start bringing back, because I'm just not sure. I think right now people are really caught up with COVID, and there's so many things that's happening. They may not be thinking about the wider picture, but it's really that community that's going to end up helping us, especially in these times of crisis.
Absolutely. For anyone who is listening or that hears this and does not live in Atlanta, how can they support what you're trying to do here?
So one way is to definitely just share it on your personal pages if you got social media. The second way is if you're interested and you can get at least somewhere between 3 to 5 people who are down to do that initiative in your city, then you can reach out to Community Movement Builders on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we can engage in conversations around them creating their own programs in their particular cities. If not, definitely if they got friends or family in Atlanta, send out that brochure. You'll see it on our page, and I'll make sure to share it. You'll see we have a flyer for it. Just share that to your comrades that do live in Atlanta. And so that way we can start to generate traction and support.